Today I'm celebrating World Migratory Birds Day. It's amazing to find the things that exist on these lists of national and international festivals. And as has often been the case, I choose to celebrate something because it appeals to me in a bizarre or frivolous way, and then the more thought I give to it, the more profound it seems to me. That's an interesting aspect of life, that the more we look, the more we see. And the story of migratory birds is one that is very relevant to what goes on this planet today. The act of migration from one climate to another is something that birds have done far longer than our human memories would ever be able to record. And the movement from one place in the north to sunnier climes in the south during the winter is something I think probably a lot of us living in the northern hemisphere would be slightly envious of. And it's interesting because one of the things that we are doing at the moment in the name of trying to live more sustainable lives, if anything such as a sustainable technological life is ever achievable, is that we are moving to solar and wind power, and where I live there are quite a lot of wind turbines, and it's always struck me as a very great tragedy how deeply they have been affecting the migration of birds. A wind turbine has the capacity, and they frequently do, kill hundreds and even thousands of birds as they migrate from one place to another. It seems that the perception of birds hasn't adapted to the existence of these moving huge bits of metal that have been planted right in their flight path. And so yet again, with our good intentions, we are wreaking havoc on animals that play a role in our ecosystems that we have very much undermined and underestimated, because the role of birdsong in our forests has links to the development of a forest and to nature generally that we are only really just now beginning to fully understand. So birdsong is one of the signals that plants use to be able to orient themselves in terms of the yearly calendar. Birdsong is one of the things that elicits growth and initiates fall or autumn. Birdsong is linked to the development, and as people are beginning to understand this, more and more experiments are being done to show something that was asserted for a very long time. You know, the Aboriginals and many older cultures have asserted that we sing the world into existence, and that birdsong indeed has this vital role to play in the unfolding of life. And so it's really difficult to imagine what role the migration of birds has on sustaining different ecosystems. And yet, through our good intentions, we are placing these enormous bird traps in the sky and harming ourselves probably in the process, harming ourselves and the environment in which we live, in the name of trying to create some energy to sustain the technological lives that we've become addicted to and in fact cannot live without now. My goodness, even just celebrating the World Migratory Birds Day is enough to remind us of the very profound contradiction in which we find ourselves embedded. World Migratory Birds Day, I imagine, at its outset was probably initiated to highlight to the plight of birds, to encourage biodiversity, for encourage connection with nature, so that we take time to look at the birds around us and give thought to them for a moment. And it's very interesting to me that the bird song that I took for granted as a younger man has diminished greatly over the course of my lifetime. The variety of birds, the number of birds. In the height of spring, it's still profound. It's still possible to hear a really vibrant dawn chorus in the part of the world in which I live, and yet it's becoming less intense. And this morning the sun has been up for not that long, and we can hear a few tweets, but it's nothing like it used to be. The number of crows seems to be increasing, and there are parts of the world that I visited. I remember being shocked in India and other parts of the world that I've been to, the absolute absence of bird song, or perhaps just the cawing of crows to be heard. It's really enabled me to give thanks for the tweeting and the beautiful bird song of blackbirds and robins and larks, and the hooing of pigeons. And it's something that as I get older I give more and more attention to and more appreciation of. I really love getting up early and being in the woods and hearing the movement of birds, listening to their song and taking me out of my thoughts. I love whistling and trying to imitate birds, and I've had conversations with birds, which is an incredible thing. So for these and for many reasons, I am joining in today's celebration of migratory birds, and I hope you will be happy to join me for a brief few seconds of silence to appreciate the beauty and the plight of migratory birds.